how we could telephone somebody in?
Mike is hot.
You could probably call.
Just
Yeah,
call
just
and have
call
So
and put it on
if
speaker,
if
yeah.
they call, actually, real quick, everyone throw your phones on silent. But yeah, if you call and then put it near the mic will pick it up.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And that's not out of the norm either, especially now, is to have like phone call podcasts.
Doo-doo-doo-doo.
Because they would have like a laptop. And they would just
Welcome
jack
to
them
the
in.
foxhole. We've got
Blake,
Jarvis.
And Brother Bear Greg. No.
Oh, I guess that makes me Polar Bear Will.
Lefty. All right.
so
Yeah.
compared to them, what are we? Weasels?
Goddamn, we all some fox.
Wolverine.
We're Wolverine. Is this a group of silver fox? We're not that old.
I
So-
mean, I got plenty of silver hair. Shit.
I still feel sorry for you,
You
old
guys
man.
calling yourself bears, you're going to get some attention. I don't know if you're feeling.
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
know,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, with all
Oof.
these viewers.
Oh my god.
With our 2 viewers.
I think one of our videos or 2 have hit over 100. Maybe one hit over 100 views.
That's pretty sick.
Maybe.
I know one's hit over 1,000 watch minutes.
Ooh.
That's
So I
not too
appreciate
bad.
y'all.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Join us on this journey. This episode won't have a specific topic, but rather just the natural progression of our conversation.
I don't know if that's a good thing or
Ludicrousy.
a bad thing.
It'll be,
honestly.
an acquired taste
Yeah.
for some.
This one was definitely like a kind of a surprise. A couple hours ago, like, hey, let's get together and record.
yeah.
But we want to keep consistency.
We got a good one coming up.
We do.
Yeah.
Look forward to the next episode with a very specific topic.
Are we keeping it secret, or can we just say what it is?
Let's keep it secret.
It's
No, we're
not.
Wink, wink, elbow, elbow.
Wow, this
Yeah.
sounds like some kind of conspiracy.
Anyway, so
Okay,
how's
let's first-
everybody's day been?
Yeah.
It's pretty dope. I got done stippling my Glock this morning.
Explain what stippling is for all those people
It's just,
who don't know much about guns.
If you don't know what stippling is,
Yeah,
you're my
so-
audience. You need to
Right.
educate yourself.
So the polymer, the polymer lowers on your Glocks and a lot of other weapons nowadays too. You so they don't really come with the best grip out of factory. So you can literally just take a soldering iron or a wood burner, like I do myself, because I like to wood burn. For everybody who doesn't know,
He's taking
y'all
requests.
know. Yeah, I'm a pretty decent artist. I've made a lot of money off of it. Actually, it's not. I get burnt out on it, but whenever I do it, I make pretty damn good money.
He said doo doo.
Doo-doo, haha. But yeah, so I just take that and I burn in a textured, a texture of some type. So I did like the triple basket weave, along with a longhorn skull on the.
It looks
pistol
pretty
grip.
good.
Yeah,
It
it
looks.
is.
You
Appreciate
wouldn't be
it.
able to tell the difference between that one and like
One
a
you'd buy
very
at the store,
professional
yeah.
stipple job.
Yeah, exactly.
The friends that I sent pictures to and like videos of it, like all different angles and whatnot, because you see the longhorn skull like as you transition in the light and everything. That's kind of how I wanted it.
It's
and,
it's very subtle.
Yeah,
I enjoy the subtlety.
That's
of
what I wanted. I didn't want something to be like, oh, there's a picture here. Let me focus on that or whatnot.
Yeah.
So I still the focus was still the grip whenever I'm firing, but
Right.
That's what we got it hidden behind your fucking
yeah.
your grip anyway.
Anyone else have any new projects that they've been working on recently?
Well, obviously, if we're talking about firearms, just
I mean, it doesn't have
Before
to
I-
be firearms.
No.
before I move on, though, I'm going to talk about my firearm project. So my next future firearm project is an sort of like an all-purpose rifle. So
What caliber are you going with?
7.62 by 5.1 or 308. It's I'm gonna go for a less of a precision build, but more of a like do everything build. So probably red dot with a magnifier, and then obviously build it for on the go type stuff. So not like a bipod and sandstock type thing, but some more in the event I need to do some room clearing, it can still work for me.
So that being said, with the 308,
Mhm.
or you want it to be able to room clear and everything, what length barrel are you going to go with?
Probably max 16 inch.
I mean, if you go with anything else, if you go with anything longer than 16-inch, man, that's a fucking elephant
Right.
gun at that point.
Well,
Like
so
my
so
deployment
there
rifle?
Yeah, well, yeah.
there's actually some
Yeah.
decent ones that are 16 inches that are
I mean, that's the standard rifle barrel length is 16 inches.
right. But I'm talking like even in terms of weight too,
Yeah.
like because we use in the military the carbine at 14 inches, and it's a 5.56 round, and it weighs 7.5 pounds.
Mhm.
There's some decent 16-inch 308 rifles that weigh pound and a half more, if that, and some of them are kind of pricey, but I don't mind putting some money down for something that can
So
serve me well.
are you a 308 guy because you were in sniper section? Because that's what y'all prefer to use, correct?
So our main weapon.
Because I wouldn't even want to really fuck with the Beretta 50 cal, which I mean those
Oh,
are
yeah.
cool and everything, but like
That's a
the weapon itself, like there's a lot of malfunctions and whatnot that go with it.
very
so-
situational
or
type
Beretta, I
of
said
weapon, yeah.
Barrett, I'm sorry, I'm
The,
retarded. I was thinking about pistols still, but yeah.
So there's for all of the weapons we use, for the most part, there's like the military's naming for it and also a civilian naming. It's the same type of rifle
Yeah.
for the most part,
Just like
other
a
than
M-
like some minor.
Just like an M4 and AR. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and
The only
so
difference is one's full auto. That's it.
so we have in sniper section they provide 3 types of sniper rifles, all mission dependent type sniper rifles. The sort of our all-purpose rifle, which is actually technically a little more precision built because sniper section
Yeah.
is the 7.62 by 5.1. It's a
That's the 308, right?
yeah. It's
Because 7.62 by is it 7.62 by 5.6 or is it no 3.9 is the
AK,
That's
yeah.
an AK
So
round.
it's a 5.6 I think was the 300 blackout.
No,
7.62 by 3.5.
3.5
that's
is
what I have.
blackout. Okay.
The but yeah, so it's called a M110. We have 10 and 20 round magazines. The Army's ideology when it comes to accuracy shooting is different than when it comes to like law enforcement or like the Marines.
Right.
Army's all about quick re-engagements. Like
Yeah.
you shoot, it's okay to miss your first shot. It's about how well you can correct off of that shot and
Yeah.
continue to engage. So
Yeah.
that's why the semi-automatic 10-round magazine or 20-round magazine is a little better. The max effective range is dependent on the shooter and spotter combination. So they work in teams of 2. But
I would imagine the elements and everything too.
right. So obviously the rifle and the round all play into effect to how much distance you can get on it. Like there's only so much rounds can travel depending on like obviously different
Humidity, wind speeds, wind variation.
right
Oh, yeah.
everything barometric pressure,
Mhm.
Coriolis effect to some
Yeah,
extent
yeah.
will even affect it.
Depending
Big
on how
things,
long the shot is.
altitude.
Altitude is a huge one. I didn't.
It's rain
Yeah.
is actually, some people will think like rain's a big factor, but
Yeah.
it's actually a lot less of a factor than like temperature and humidity and altitude and things like that.
Because
Altitude's a huge one.
The thickness of the air,
Mhm.
like heat,
That's
hot air
why,
versus cold air. It's
literally-
kind of like whenever we jump out of planes, you're going to fall a lot faster in cold air than you would hot air.
Right, right.
Obviously, hot air rises.
Yep.
So I don't want to get like too into sniper stuff. I could talk for probably like 16 hours, but we keep a dope book. It
It's just
stands
like-
for
it's like
data of
BB6,
prior
you can
engagements, and it's just all you do
go
is
on
you
and
shoot
on.
in different environments, so you can record basically what type of holds or measurements you had, so you're like prepared for that. But yeah, so the 308 is like the main purpose rifle, and for myself, an effective range with that rifle they provided, obviously, like even your optic, and your trigger, your barrel, they all play an effect how accurate you are. But
So why
for the
not?
system I had, it was like 1,000 meters was probably max effective range. They also, our other weapon was experimental at the time, but now it's the M2010. It's a 300 Win Mag. It's a bolt action rifle. That's our precision shot. It's more for, it's less used, but it's an amazing rifle. It's hostage situations, things where the first shot actually does
Yeah,
matter.
one of those one shot, one kill.
And that's where like
situation.
the cold bore comes
Right,
in.
right.
Yeah.
So all of your shots are going to typically follow the same shot pattern except for your first shot, which is called your cold bore shot. So like in law enforcement sniper training, they do just primarily, almost solely cold bore training, because in law enforcement they're not just gunning people down.
Yeah, you need to be accountable for every
They need to
round you
understand
fire.
the
Yeah.
accuracy of their weapon when the barrel is cold, because it'll have significantly different variables than if you've been shooting your rifle.
So with that, the 300 Win Mag, do y'all use a stainless steel barrel also, or
Yeah.
is it okay?
It's a
It's far more accurate.
it's a sub MOA, which basically one MOA is like 1 inches of play at 100 meters.
Yeah,
So sub MOA is less than that. It's almost like a quarter MOA.
Yeah.
So at 100 meters, it has a quarter inch of play in perfect condition shot by a robot. Now, sometimes shooters can be so good that they can shoot better than a robot can because they know how to adjust for things that you can't adjust for in a perfect situation. It's just like a shooter's instinct, basically. Getting a feel for the rifle.
yeah.
But so sub MOA, and it's got, they say like max effective range at 1,200 meters. I hit targets with that thing with high crosswinds at like 15 miles per hour up to 1,800 meters away, and
That's impressive.
with decent ease. Obviously, a lot of credit goes to the spotter, given good wind calls and things like that. But
I mean, your spotter is basically your trigger hand.
they're
they say pretty
they're your
much,
math. They're doing
Yeah.
all the thinking for you.
Yeah.
The shooter
Like
part
up 4,
is
left 5, or
generally
all
speaking
kinds of
easier.
shit.
But the 300 Win Mag, the M2010, that whole system is outrageously expensive, but it's fun to shoot because of how accurate it is.
So with that being said, you want to do the 308. Why not a 300 Blackout?
300 Blackout's good.
I mean, because if you want to
The,
do room clearing and whatnot,
But I like the 308 in terms of what the round can do. Not only just how effective the round is, right? For accuracy shooting, the 300 Win Mag is an amazing round for all-purpose accuracy shooting and stuff. But like when it comes to like dealing with like body armor or dealing with
that's why
shooting
me
a vehicle,
personally, I would go with the 300 Blackout. Because also out of 300 Blackout, out of all 3 rounds, the 5.56, the 308, and the 300 Blackout, whenever it comes to, everybody's about these short AR pistols, right? Like the 10.5 and whatnot. 300 Blackout have the most effective range of fire whenever it comes to the short rifles, the 10.5 and everything. You can still very effectively hit a target 600 meters out.
I think because of being in sniper section, I like the ability to engage someone so far away.
Yeah.
And
honestly, if you're 600 meters away from me and you ain't fucking with me, I'm probably not gonna fuck with you.
Yeah, seriously. and that's why that's kind of why I'm building. Like my rifle's a 300 Blackout, and that's gonna be my all-purpose.
That's gonna be my next rifle. Is a
so
300. It's either gonna be a 308 because I was looking at those two. Because I like the ability to reach out and touch a motherfucker, which I do have my 5.56. So I mean, I could still reach out and tag somebody's ass.
But it's still nice
I
to
like
have.
I like the
something with more
7.62 round because I like that that stopping force.
Right
But also
so
need
there's
to
something really appealing about the
your
stopping
feet.
force of the M107, the third system we use, which is the 50 BMG.
Yeah.
There's a new weapon that they just designed. It's called the Lynx. M500. I don't remember the actual letter number. It's called the Lynx. It's a bullpup 50 cal sniper rifle
Oh shit!
Damn.
Okay.
that only weighs. It's significantly lighter than the Barrett.
You know they have 50
And it's
cal
semi-automatic.
AR-15s now.
Really.
Yeah.
it's a
So
50 it's a 50
10-round
cal
mags.
Beowulf.
yeah. So that's so. It's I believe it's like a Russian rifle, or at least the Russians do have a 50 cal like assault rifle that they
Yeah,
use.
but they literally base all their rifles off of the AK.
Yeah, that's
which
true.
Is piston driven.
Um,
But the 50 cal Beowulf AR, it was out of the States. But yeah, there's also a dude here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. He's called the AK guy. He's got a really
Fayetteville, Arkansas.
yeah. Well, yeah, but
I'm not
he's here in Fayetteville,
I'm
North
joking.
Carolina.
It's just,
and
But
show up to my house and get greeted with a surprise.
I mean, we've already said brag like how many fucking times?
I was
Yeah.
just saying it because you specified North Carolina.
Yeah.
Like obviously people know where we're at.
Yeah, fucking airborne.
I just
Yeah,
thought
whatever.
it was
Yeah.
funny because there's so many different.
But
Fayetteville.
he's literally his name is the AK guy, and I watch a lot of YouTube channels. I got a lot of YouTube channels I like to watch, like Demolition Ranch, Hickok 45.
I like Hickok 45.
He's a beautiful man.
Right. And then like the AK guy, and I got a friend too. When I was in law enforcement, I didn't even know he was. I seen his channel. I was like, I know this guy, and I clicked on it. He was a fucking Kentucky State Trooper, and he in his page, he's not even in law enforcement anymore. He just does the YouTube thing, and he's right there in Murray, Kentucky, the city I was born in. So like I recognized him. I was like, I know I've seen this big bastard somewhere. Clicked on it. There he is. I'm like, okay, I didn't even know he had it. It's been years since I've talked to him. He probably doesn't even fucking remember me because, you know, I was working in the jail at the time that I ran into him.
That voice?
Oh yeah, but I mean, I'm
like behemoth of a man.
I'm actually like half the size of what I used to be.
Jeez.
Still,
I couldn't imagine seeing you then.
Still,
fuck.
Your voice is what people hear before they see. Yeah. People are like, oh, I know who that is.
I mean, back then, that's when I was pushing like 505 on bench and could rep and was repping 475. I mean, whenever we deployed, I was repping 380. So I mean,
so
Greg, what's a little project you've been working on?
I ain't got no projects working on. The only thing I've been working on is
getting that damn job. Yeah,
securing the bag. That's what I've been working at.
How's everyone's
he called me like
going?
5 times today, and I missed every single one of them. I felt so bad.
Yeah,
I called him like 6 times trying to get back. I was like, he never calls me. Something's wrong. I was freaking the fuck out.
Damn.
I was about to get up and drive to his house. I was like, yo, you
I was
good,
talking to
dog?
my mom. So I called him when I left work.
You could have texted me and be like, hey, hold on, I'm on the phone. My
Yeah,
bad.
I called him because I told him like, hey, I just quit my job because I got the job that I've been trying to apply for the past 3 months, and it was just a bunch of medical stuff that was like holding me up. Like, first they said I had a irregular EKG, which I'm like, that's normal. I've had that before.
Yeah,
like,
I have an irregular EKG.
Yeah, and then they were like,
we all have heart problems.
Have you been in the infantry?
Right?
Do you drink Monster like you do water?
No,
I got news for you.
I actually have a hole in my heart.
Jesus.
I want some physician coming
You have
after
a
me like,
fucking
how many
hole in your
energy
heart?
drinks have you had today, boy?
What are you doing in the army?
I don't know.
You know they.
When I got my first when I got my first EKG, they were like, something's fishy. They're like, there's no electricity on the one side of your heart, and I was like, oh well, that's fucking wild. And as it turns out, I have like, I think it's called a right bundle branch block. So there's like a little hole, so the wall that separates the atriums between your heart is supposed to close when you're born because you start pumping your own blood and the pressure closes it. Well, I have like a slight hole, so blood passes through that. Like they did what's called a bubble test, where like they hook you up to a sonogram, basically, where they're like sonogramming you while fucking pumping like agitated saline through your blood, so it's a bunch of bubbles. So I could like see like
where it's leaking,
all of these bubbles going through my heart, and then shit going through the other side. It's not supposed to happen.
I like so obviously this is something that's been tested and practiced and stuff, but it just reminds me of how scientists and doctors, especially in the past, have sort of just tried to figure things out. And sometimes rather than just like, see what they should or shouldn't do because they don't know anything about it, they're like, let's just do something horrible and just see how it works.
Especially when you're in the army and the army's like, oh, we already own his ass.
Just a little guinea pig.
So what's crazy is like, I know the whole like thing about getting a bubble in your heart's going to kill you. Yeah. It will if it goes a certain way.
Yeah.
But like the way they're doing it, that's not.
Well, it's not the bubble that gets to the heart that kills you. It's the bubble that gets to the brain.
The guy said he's done it at least one time before.
So what kind of
where's that patient at, sir? We're not going to discuss
is that. Like as they're doing it, there's like a nurse there or some sort of medical professional, and then there was like a private. And
I fucking hope there would be some sort of medical.
Oh, the army did this? Oh, that makes it even better.
This was
I mean, I can't
any
say much.
army medical work.
I let them cut my spine. So
there's some private, and the medical professional was like, "Yep, she's going to be sitting in and doing some work today." I'm like, "Oh fuck, bubbles in my heart. This isn't good."
But you know what?
So they did it on my left arm, and they pumped that shit full of saline 4 times. They're like, nothing's showing up. I don't see any blood coming through. And I'm like, man, my arm fucking hurts.
You could always add some more.
Turns out they blew the vein.
Oh,
shot like 4 fucking loads of the saline in, and then I had a bruise going from the inside of my bicep to like almost the end of my forearm.
That's a lot of loads.
It was nuts. They got it on the right arm first go, but yeah, they blew a lot of loads.
You're talking about
it fucking hurt.
The army blew
military medical practice.
Bruh.
Yo.
So during my first JRTC, when I was in sniper section, it's like big old deployment practice.
I just want to say, now that I'm getting, like, they initiated my med board, I went my entire fucking career without going to JRTC once
It's beautiful.
or wearing my ASUs one fucking time. I wore them one
Yeah.
time
He's
to
a legend.
graduate basic, and that's it.
Did you ever have to get them like redone?
No, they're still fucked.
That's
I've never been
crazy.
to a.
I've never
I-
fixed anything on
I've
it.
never had to wear them other than like
Laughs and jealousy.
I had to wear the top one time for
Yeah,
a photo.
I might get them done just to say
I've had.
fuck
To,
it.
I've worn
Yeah.
them all.
Hang them in my closet.
But
When I'm a crusty old bastard, I might pull it out. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's
I have
funny,
a disdain for people who didn't have to go through hard times like I did.
I went over to my grandpa's house one time, and
Yeah.
And he made you put them on.
no, he's a veteran as well.
Grandpa, why didn't you want me to put on the pants? No, nothing, boy.
I have a great relationship with my family, you fucks. The hell? No, I went over and
I
he's,
like to imagine it Will's way.
he's a veteran, and we got to talking, and like, just like you said, he went into his closet, he started pulling out his uniforms
Yeah.
and his boots. He got his boonie cap, and he's. It was cool because I learned a lot more about my grandpa than I knew. Cause,
Booty cap? What's that?
he was like a.
Word?
I think he got out as like a tech sergeant in the Air Force and shit back in.
Oh, he's not real. It's okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't.
Yeah, he was over there. In Desert, he was over there in Desert Storm. He was
Oh, yeah.
like a flight line mechanic. or
So is
something.
half the motherfuckers out here on the street, you know?
These kids have it too easy these
I
days.
Don't you
served
just
in
hate driving
Desert
down the
Nom or whatever it
Don't
was.
you just hate driving down the road here? Because Fayetteville has such a huge fucking homeless population. Like,
Oh, massive.
it's insane for a
Yeah.
city this small.
Well,
you
there's
know?
a documentary on YouTube about Skid Row in Los Angeles. Will put this place to shame. It's
So
got
I-
a
Oh,
goddamn
yeah.
shanty village.
So
Look
I
here.
live downtown, and like the way and it's crazy to see the difference because like you'll drive down Hay Street and it's like kind of popping. That's where the little bars are and shit like
Yeah.
that. If you just go past that last little roundabout, it immediately turns into like a shit show, and that's where I live. It's right around the block.
Think y'all
The
can be
shit show?
homeless? Y'all think
Oh,
y'all
yeah.
could cut it just being homeless?
Bro, we're professional homeless.
I think there's a set of skills that I've trained
That the
in for the
Army has
past
given
7
us.
years.
we
that I
would
think I
be
can make it.
fine living in this. I've
Do you-
lived in
okay.
the fucking woods with.
Do you think you'd be happier if you were homeless?
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
The fuck?
No.
I think I would be.
Do you guys,
No, homeless
watch,
in the city or homeless in the woods.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Pick your poison.
Do you guys watch Yusha Thomas videos? So he's another one of those guys who makes like the veteran humor YouTube shit.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think before I even enlisted, or right when I was enlisting, I saw a video that he made of like, you know, each fresh recruit going to a recruiter for the different branches.
To get fucked.
And the Marines was just like, throws a fucking 45 on the table, like, here you go, kid.
Disassemble
And
it.
The kid's like, am I going to get any skills out of this? Nope, we're going to teach you how to be homeless as shit.
That's everything about the infantry, right?
It
Yeah,
really is.
but what I was saying and like touching back on the whole homeless thing is like as soon as you go past like all the cool little bars and the fancy hipster bullshit, there's like a generator that has like 6 or 7 homeless people sleeping by it all the time. Like I constantly have people coming up to my street like when I walk to work in the morning. And this is at like fucking 5 a.m.
You walk to work in the morning?
Walk to my car. Excuse
Oh,
me.
what the fuck?
When I'm walking in my car and I have people like coming
Work
up
in
to
my
me
car.
at 5 a.m. no less, and it's these crackheads who are like, "Hey, you got $1?"
Talking about,
Bro, I just stopped at the red lights and like 2 days ago.
oh, shit.
Yeah, 2 days ago, some chick came up to me and she's like, "You gotta be military." I'm like, "Well, 80% of this fucking town is, man." She's like, "Well, I served in World War II." I'm like, "What? You're what? You're like fucking 30."
Bitch, who
Like-
didn't?
Like how?
You ever heard of the draft?
Something,
Me too.
How
Something
high
I
are
think,
you?
something also that I think is super interesting about this town, and it's probably every military town, is how many people.
It is not every fucking military town. 'Cause
No,
I
not-
grew up around Fort Campbell.
Not about homeless. What I'm saying is
That's luxury over there.
so what I'm getting at is how many people retire or get out and then fucking stay. Like,
Oh yeah,
I
it's
see-
A lot.
crazy. Yeah.
I see so many people who retired 20. So it's different. You guys are still like.
That's anywhere. It's comfortable.
You
It's
gotta
what they
think
know.
you kind of
Right.
establish your life and your living pattern
Plus,
in that state.
by
So-
the time you
So
get
by the time
done-
you walk out of that place, you're like, I'm kind of already familiar with this area. Let me just find
Yeah,
work
it's-
here.
You know, I see a lot of veterans who are wearing like their hats that have their sergeant major rank and what war
Right,
they were in, but
right.
they got out of the army 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And they're still in Fayetteville.
As an E5, and then they bought that sergeant major rank, and they're like,
I mean,
"I'm about to earn this respect."
a lot of soldiers find their spouses from the areas that they go to.
That's
so I
true,
mean,
too.
look at how many motherfuckers that are our age
And they're
that are like E5s, E6s, or whatnot.
and they're already used to being away from their families.
Right.
And the
Plus-
spouse isn't.
Right. So we bastards. Anyways,
Right. The average person doesn't move more than 50 miles away from his family.
Right. Fuck that. Man, if it
I-
wasn't for my kids, I wouldn't even go through that.
Dude, there's too many fucking like. I think I'll retire. In
I'd go to like
Kansas.
Texas or something.
Eventually, when I'm a multimillionaire, I'll have like a
From
home,
podcasting.
I'll have a home in
From
Kansas.
podcasting.
Yeah, so basically, this is easily just from the drastic incline from episode 1 to episode 7. Like I can
I
see
don't
us
think this
all
is episode
retiring.
Yes.
in
Yes.
episode 8, whatever it is, 9,
I
10,
think we're at,
4.
like,
I'm
10 or
finna
something.
But,
Ready.
Yeah, so episode 1 and last episode.
Are kind of the same because it's all pretty. Our last episode was pretty like it was good. We talked about good stuff, but it was
We were
not
all over the
formatted
place.
very
The real
well.
conversation was after.
Nobody's listened to the last episode yet. I was looking at the analytics,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, seeing there was like 7 views, and it show average view duration 4 minutes, and I'm like, these motherfuckers are really popping in, and then just leaving after
Well,
4 minutes
well,
because
we-
they heard something they didn't like.
We were really.
It's like, man, I wish I was more interesting.
There were some hard opinions.
The
We also shouted at each other a lot.
I
Yeah.
really think that one is, or any of them, are worth a listen. I feel like we're more interesting in the second half. We gotta warm up, like.
Mhm.
That's why we talk for 30 minutes before we even start.
Yeah,
recording.
yeah. It just sucks when we talk and we're more interesting prior to, and then get into it, and it's like, oh, I've never done this
Where
before.
the fuck do we go with this now?
What,
Where's
do we
the
need
hole?
do we need to change the format then? Like,
The,
do we need to set up the mic where we are in the room and just start talking?
We need to always be recording 24/7.
Montage my day.
That is a negative there, Ghost Rider.
It's like 4 times a day, just here.
Maybe more than 4 for me, homie.
You think I've beat it into submission?
That's a curvy tree right there.
That's a curve. A lot of
Basic
curves
was
on
weird.
This road.
Yeah, there's a lot of grip on that bark.
It's interesting, at least for all of us did basic before women joined, right?
No, actually. I actually
really?
had the at the time. I think I had the largest mixed class. We had like
There were women in your class?
we had like 40 females. Yeah.
You won't understand. 14 weeks of never seeing a female.
Yeah.
Like,
besides
So
them
you-
bunch ladies.
Oh,
So
they
you
were-
think that?
they were some fine ladies.
No.
80-year-old
Check-
crackheads,
yeah.
like,
Check this
they
out.
could get it.
Tell me you could not smell a female from like a mile away.
Oh God, yes.
When you be running, you
100%.
like
I smell fucking nuts for 14 fucking weeks.
you smell a
And
female,
then
you were like,
you walk into the cafeteria and like
You
that
was like-
sweaty ass lunch lady across the
You were
shit's
like-
like, that's what makes your mouth water.
So we're in the
fucking
group
grub.
showers and we're all like freestyle rap battling for like the 30th time in a row. And then some other guy's just like, can y'all shut the fuck up? I'm trying to remember what a girl looks like. I'm trying to finish.
So I have a pretty interesting because
No.
I had a mixed female class.
Mhm.
And y'all just banged all the time.
not
Somebody was clapping.
that, not
Jews.
that I know of, but
nothing.
my battalion did get in trouble because one of the drill sergeants was sleeping with a
Of
a
course.
trainee. However,
I'll
that-
show you how to succeed, man.
That's not where I was going with this, but like, you think like, oh, you're gonna be there with females, you're not like, you still feel that because those girls, they are just as dirty and nasty as you are at that
Yes.
time. Y'all all gross as fuck.
Females are disgusting.
Men are just we're all gross.
No.
People are gross.
Yeah, I remember we were
Humans
doing
are
a
fucking
field
gross.
exercise.
But about being able
Continue.
to smell like a woman and like the because they
The
all wear
pheromones?
like just like the flowery shit that they wear.
He said the
We went-
pheromone. This motherfucker over here is going Neanderthal.
So I was
Hey, I'll let you finish.
Is that double X chromosome?
human pheromones are not proven. But like, so all my medical shit, I was a holdover at my company for a good minute.
you look like a holdover.
Yeah, fuck you,
There is just that type, you know?
He's struggling with something.
dude. I was held over for like 2 months.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
It was bad.
I went from basic to airborne to RASP to failing RASP to 82nd, right after another.
I was an E1.
I even failed quick.
I should have tried. I should have fucking tried RAF.
Oh,
or
yeah.
something.
I was an E1 in charge of 100 people because I had been at the fucking airborne hold for so long that I just became in charge of them.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And that's not even
The
post airborne
toxicity.
hold. It was pre airborne hold, so it was still bad. But like,
When there's pre's in there for
Whenever-
holes.
so
it's-
we're our holdovers. There were maybe like eight of us, and
Yeah.
a couple of them were the females waiting to get their orders cut because they can only go to certain infantry units because only so many were accepting because only so many had female infantry NCOs. So we fucking
Typically airborne.
Yeah.
yeah, it's mostly like a lot of them went to 4th ID or Bliss.
Oh, okay.
I can believe it.
But I remember one day, you know, because we had already graduated, we were holdovers, we were just getting hoard out for details. We had a little bit more freedom, but this one girl took it a bit too far, and she got this fucking like scented lotion that was like, you know, girly shit, and she wore it, and like the 8 of us in the CTA were like, oh, it was honestly overpowering. It was fucking gross. We're just like, what the hell is that? And even one of the drill sergeants was like, what is that aroma? It's
What is that stench?
It is overwhelming. They're like, did you put perfume on it? She's like, no, it was just lotion. They're like, oh, you think because you graduated you could wear smelly lotion? Huh? And she's like, yeah. And they're like, kind of, but no.
I bet you got some
So shit.
tight man pussy.
So when I was at fucking SUT during the Q course, and like SUT they lock you down. They lock you down for like 6 weeks straight, and they do all their events. And like, and we're out there. Remember us running, and during those times, you know, you're locked away to isolate you, take away your phone. So all you're doing is like schoolhouse shit.
All you're doing is beating your dick in the shower
So much.
with a porta potty.
No.
Is it weird? Do y'all walk by a porta potty, smell it, and your dick gets hard? Like it's just like little buddy.
So you
Little buddy's just like, it's time, motherfucker.
You have
There's a
logged
point
yourself
in your
in a
life
jerk
where
off.
you have to realize you've gone too far.
So there's 2 types of soldiers.
There's no
Either you're
turning back.
Are you doing the porta shit and beating your dick when it's 120 degrees, or it's negative 20 degrees and you in there beating
So
your
that's
dick.
what I used to tell my family before I deployed, because I knew it was going to be kind of a joke.
No.
And they were all stressing. I was like, guys, the most dangerous thing I'm going to do is beat my dick in a 120-degree porta john.
And I did it.
And,
That's the game of
my
life.
stepmom's just like,
I'm supposed to suffer. I need this.
Especially like at Thompson, like there was one porta potty you didn't go into because that was the dick beating porta
so
potty. Right?
here's the thing. Is when we
Everybody
were at Thompson,
fucking knew it.
when we were at Thompson, we didn't beat off in the porta johns. We beat off in the towers.
Oh god, yeah.
We're pulling
You
security,
piece of
just pulling chicken, pulling security.
Nah,
When you say
man.
we, like, do you mean you and you just think everyone else is? Or did everyone else do it and you just want to be like, yeah, I did that too. I beat
No.
off all over my
Oh,
bed.
no, we all
We know
all
who beat
discussed-
off.
Were you there?
Like 4
Oh,
times.
you remember the stories that were in all the
One guy
towers?
jerked
Yeah.
off on the
Those were
non-lethal
the
grenade.
best.
Yeah.
I can't believe they covered those up.
Yeah.
Good time.
Anyway, so as you were talking about SUT.
Oh yeah,
take
so
your
yeah,
phones and shit.
SUT. We're out here running around, and I remember us probably doing like a 6-mile run or something like that. Something
that.
something retarded back then. My bad. Something ridiculous.
Like
and-
retarded.
Yeah, and I remember this. All you see is us running like this in formation, and this chick run by, and you just see everyone go. Just like a deep breath, like, did you smell that?
So he just
Even the
dramatically
fucking
declared
cad-
his
even
life.
the cadre's like, all right, guys, time to
But
fucking
you
snap back in."
you know the male ego's like, hey, let me.
I know I'm not
poke
the only one.
Poke out my chest a little more,
Yeah.
and run a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit harder.
Trying to be the baddest looking
Yeah.
motherfucker.
I
I
have
ain't
something to
tired.
say to the people who make the sexual harassment slideshows in the Army. Listen, right?
I don't
Especially
like
for
fucking
combat
tea,
jobs.
okay?
You
think that's a
cannot
really good video,
train a large group of
Males.
killers that are also responsible, law-abiding citizens who do everything like they're
Those are
supposed
two
to.
completely different ethics.
You have to just push the kill in the direction you want and hope it doesn't spill over. You can't expect it to do everything right. You just have to make sure it does everything wrong in the right direction.
I know this is his 3rd DUI and 2nd sharp complaint, but he scored away for a sergeant. Look at his runtime.
Hey,
12
First
mile,
arm.
huh?
that's first arm material right there. Who
Sorry.
is this man?
That's why I'll never make rank, is because I can't run fast. But
And you don't have any DUIs.
I also have a hole in my heart, so. And I haven't been divorced yet, so that's part
That's
of it.
true.
Yeah, you're not real Army.
No.
I saw.
So,
I saw
Banging hookers and marrying strippers, huh?
I have a fun story.
He's trying to fight.
I have a fun story about
Hey, no wrong with
a.
that. One of my good buddies married a stripper.
Hell yeah.
They got divorced.
Well, we
Hey.
we ain't married.
I'm not judging nobody's lifestyle. Let her do her damn thing. She make more money than you, huh?
Goddamn right she
Right.
does.
Exactly.
So going back to what you were saying, I was looking at, I was trying to find it real quick. I couldn't fucking find it, but I read a quote. I don't know, probably like a year or two ago, and it's stuck with me ever since. It It was a British cat saying, most officers in the military environment are there to lead their men or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? They're there to lead them into battle, right? And it's like, bear with me. That's it. I'm about to prove the point what y'all are talking about right now.
Okay.
So he said during Iraq and everything, whenever their lieutenants would get killed, it wasn't the lieutenants that were leading everybody into battle. You realize that the officers were there to restrain their men, because when the enemy killed their officers, their soldiers went nuts and started killing everybody with no remorse whatsoever. So they realized they're pretty soon not to kill the officers, because the officers were the one that were containing the men.
It's interesting.
Strong together.
You even you
Like in the British Army, the officers lead the way. In the American Army, the officers restrain the fucking
and
men.
it's funny you said it, because you even see that on the garrison side. Like, we're having a mouse problem in the cough.
Yeah.
And like
They
found a mouse and they were like, cut its fucking head off. And then there's some lieutenant who's like,
It's so true.
there's some lieutenant, and this is a real story, who's like, guys, you can't just do that. Just take it outside. And
Sir,
no,
go read
don't
a
get me wrong.
fucking book. Let us do our
I'm a
shit.
fucking I'm a take the mouse outside kind of guy. But
What do you want us to
everyone else
be?
is like, what the fuck, sir? I want
Depressed
to
killers. Well, that's it. That's all you get.
Yo, me and Will said this shit. I said this shit all the time after my incident. I was like, the army puts in leadership, like puts a beta male.
Yes.
Beta male. I can't even
Yeah.
get my shit out.
Yeah,
The
beta
army
male
puts
bitches.
beta male bitches
little
as
soy
their
boys.
leaders. Like,
It's either beta male bitches, yes men, aka yes men,
Yeah.
or motherfuckers that know their shit, have been reprimanded like fucking 40 times, and are just now starting to climb up the ladder because
Yep.
they've just been there for so fucking
And
long,
they're
and
about
actually
to- and
take
they're
care of
about
the
to
dude.
shit.
If you actually take care of your dudes, you're gonna get shit on. It doesn't fucking
And-
matter.
no, I
And
was-
you even
I was
see,
literally-
you see that with NCOs too. Like, you
That's-
have an
what do you think
NCO
we're
who's for
talking
the
about?
boys, and then they're Joe huggers.
so
Yeah.
They're pieces of shit. Like Jarvis was my boss
Yeah.
overseas, and he was the least liked leader in our platoon because he took care
I had the biggest
of
dick.
our team.
hey, hey, you know why they got rid of you and Rico?
Bitches be jealous.
You know why they got rid of you and Rico? Because
Yeah.
we were going to be the next generation of like leaders.
There's
and they
something
knew that.
scary to the other leaders when you, without fear, garner the respect of the men. They're like, no, it's not like that. What are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like you're making us look bad because you're just like, hey, do this, they do that, without screaming and yelling.
Yeah, people
They don't listen to us like that.
People hide behind the rank a lot.
Oh,
I've hated
yeah.
that so
Don't get me wrong. Like,
much.
if you do the wrong thing, which because I
They really
respected
fucking-
the people underneath me and treated them as if they were actual people, they didn't. But if they did, obviously I'd rape them in the face. But I never had to because I just asked them not to do the wrong thing, and
It
it's
was
like,
very-
oh wow, they responded to that.
It was very easy for me when I was a team leader having to correct someone because it was like I can pull you aside and be like, hey, you did it, and literally tell you to your face like, hey, you're fucked up, you did this, this, and this. Don't do it again, like blah blah blah. And they'll be like, okay. And then what happens 6 months, 7 months from now? Nothing, because you know when they get in that scenario again, they're like, oh shit, let me not do that. Sergeant Parks already told me not to do that, and they didn't do it. And that to them was just so like, I'm like,
What? You didn't have to smoke them for fucking
I'm
6
like-
hours and scream in their face and
it never
degrade them in front of everybody?
I never understood.
You're not a real leader.
I truly never understood when like new Joes came in and they were like skull fuck them. And I'm like, I understand the culture. Like, so don't get me wrong with that. Like,
There's-
I understand the army culture
There's
and
a
why
place
they
for
do
it.
things.
There
There
can be-
is.
There is a rightness.
But
to
I
it.
never understood flipping out on someone like you don't know what you don't know. Like, how am I going to be
Exactly.
mad at you for not knowing something you don't know?
Yep.
I'm a big believer in the almost like the initiation, right? And that
Everybody's
it
gotta
is
pay their
you have
dues,
to earn
period.
it, right?
Yeah,
It's
okay.
just about the
Not
like,
hazing necessarily.
No, hazing. Yes, and
I think
Well,
hazing has a fucking place.
I in the our
Honestly.
culture, in a warrior culture,
Yeah.
I think that hazing as an initiation really like it's like, yeah, I earned the
I'm
spot.
not saying
under the
go
club.
overboard and kick the
But
shit out of the
No,
there's
it's
kid.
not like some of that
limitations.
frat boy shit.
Yeah,
It's like,
there are
because-
limitations, yeah.
People think that once they haze someone, like, oh, it's just like I should always haze them every time they mess up. Haze them,
no.
haze them, haze them. I like the idea of like, hey, you're earning your spot. When you mess up and you're new, like, you're gonna pay for it. But obviously, someone who's been there when they mess up. It's different types of routes you have to take.
I think
It's-
for me,
So, and it's kind of like I was talking with my current boss about it now, about how like you give like a professional courtesy to the people who are a little more experienced.
Yeah.
Like the new guy comes in, let's say he forgets his rhino mount.
I mean, I don't.
You give
I
him
don't
shit,
care
like,
how,
that's
You
fine.
fuck him up because
That's
he's
fine.
Yeah.
But then like say you're a squad leader and you have a squad, you have to make sure everybody has their shit, and then fuck, I forgot my rhino mount. Like
I mean, you got a lot of
Your-
different boxes.
your
you
platoon
gotta
sergeant's
check
gonna be
too.
like, all right, dude, I get
As a
it,
new
like-
private, you have a very small list of
so
responsibilities.
Yes.
I was told this
you get more
perfectly.
leeway.
I was told this perfectly about from one of my old NCO, Staff Sergeant Outcall. He's like E7 now. He said he was like, as a private, you have 3 things to do: right place, right
Be on
time, right?
time,
Like be on
dress.
time, qualify,
Yep.
and PT very well.
Qualify.
And that's it.
Qualify.
He was like, he's like, that's the extent of what you have to do. Show up in the right place, right time, right uniform, qualify when you need to qualify, and being able to PT. He was like, everything out there. He was like, those are the things that will progress you to the next step.
Everyone when they join, like for the most part, nobody's a pussy bitch, right? They're willing to take some shit if they messed up. It's just when the
Basic
the
used to
people
fucking
fucking
break
you up
you with it.
are so
They still does.
intelligible, like they just start mumbling like, I'm fucking you up because it's the right, it's I'm building you into a
I've
better
never-
person. You're like, all right, this guy doesn't know what he's
I-
talking
so,
about.
So what's crazy is I think for me, because I was such a laid back dude, and I like wasn't with the hazing bullshit. Like I didn't really care to hate anybody. I'm like, hey, I can talk to you as a grown ass man. That's always been my philosophy. I can talk to you as a grown ass man.
And they are
But
ass men.
what I think a lot
For
of
the
people
most part.
didn't understand is I never once stopped the NCO from smoking a Joe because I did not say I didn't believe in that. I don't do it personally, but I'm like, hey, there's a place for everything, and I'm not going to like if my Joe fucked up and you caught him, fuck him up. I don't care. Like,
Yeah, as long as they come to you first.
yeah,
That's my thing.
but I'm okay with that because I'm just like, hey, because I'm like, I was raised in that culture. I understand it, and I never took any of my smokings to heart.
I think these leaders like legit like they start to like hate people when they mess up.
They
Like
do.
they're not training the person that's going to be there for them when they're dying. The person they're trying to create someone who's willing to take a bullet for them, to kill people
Yes.
for them, and to be their brothers when they're
Yes.
killing other people who are trying to kill
And
them.
I think that's for
it's
me-
like, do you not realize like you're building up your brother?
That's the
right?
thing. And then if you
not
hate
some
on
fucking
somebody-
slave bitch.
If you
Yeah.
hate on somebody like a little bitch and you fucking treat your Joe, your not superior, your underling, whatever the fucking word is, as garbage, like
Your
they're
slave.
not they're not gonna fucking have your back.
Yeah, and
Slaves.
it's
People
crazy.
do
It's
treat them as
crazy
slaves.
because we got to deployment, and it's sad to say that people are just like, yeah, he took a bullet. I'd take my sweet ass time to go over there and patch him up. I'd probably let him bleed out. It should never be
It's
like that.
the fragging in World War
Yeah.
II and
Uh,
stuff.
Vietnam,
Or Vietnam,
all that
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
And it should never be like that. Like I'm like, you know, you're going to future deploy with these dudes, but you're shitting on them, talking about you're going to die when you go to deployment because you're a fucking retard. Like, no, when you get tagged, I'm going to let you just die. Like that's
There-
fucked up.
There should be.
It should never be
There
like
should be a
that.
mutual respect.
It should.
And like and on the Joe side, you gotta understand that you are gonna get fucked up because you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna make that mistake more than once, and you're gonna get fucked up.
It was with so
My
it was
thing-
me.
Then you have whatever, fuck it, you know what I'm saying? Where you have older privates, like I was a grown ass man
Oh,
when I
private.
came in.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
a grown ass man. Already had a whole career that I stepped away from to come into the army and everything.
When you were in my team, I knew that, I understood that, and I treated
Yeah.
you as if you knew more than me in some
And
things.
I'm gonna-
It's crazy how well that worked.
And
And
I
then
was-
you've been there when I've given classes.
Mhm.
They've asked me for advice, especially like whenever it came to fucking, like detaining prisoners and shit. Like in the middle of Afghanistan, we're on a flight, on a flight deck. Like I'm giving lessons on like how to physically detain people and shit like that. And our PL, our platoon sergeant at the time, which I'm not gonna say, which you know, he's
Yeah.
86. He came, he was like, I didn't know you knew all that. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I had a whole career before
Yeah.
this. Like, just because I'm ignorant in the army aspect,
Yeah.
like
I think-
me and you are the same fucking age.
Yep.
Like, you've been in the army the whole time. I've been out here doing other shit.
I think there's
Like-
a bad stigmatism with the army
Stigma.
stigma. There's a,
Stigma.
yes,
Us
not
stigmatism.
stigmatism, not for the eye.
Yeah.
There's a bad stigma with the
Stigma
look
lie.
associating
Might as well be
privates
for the eye because they can't
as
see shit. So.
ignorant 18-year-olds. And because typically
Yeah.
a private comes in, and in most cases they're
You're already
18
used to
coming in.
hand railing, motherfucker.
Yeah, they're 18. They're just getting out of school. Like this is their first real experience, and then you get a couple older ones, and you kind of treat them the same way. You're like, hold on, like your situation, like, hey, I was prior law enforcement. I know how to do this before this, and this. Even Lau, he's an older cat. Charles, he was an older cat. Like, hey, these are individuals who are very mature. He was like, hey, certain life choices made them come here. He's like, but they're not the ignorant private. Like, yeah, they may not know, but their ability to learn is much quicker than, say, a new private.
Yeah, so I have something to say on that as well.
Vice
And,
versa as well.
I saw
Facts.
this is
There
like,
are some window lickers.
this is one of the best things that I ever heard, and it was when I was in basic training, and like I was in a weird situation. My whole company got moved to another company to get a new set of drills because there was things going on, just like with the class setup and the 22-day cycle coming in. It was just funky, and like one of our new drills came over before we had switched companies to teach us a little bit, and he said, "You guys aren't dumb. You're Army dumb." And I thought that was pretty poignant because
So you're retarded.
Oh, I mean,
it
No,
says,
no, no.
it says a lot.
in that respect, yeah. So one of my favorite NCOs I've ever had, fucking Leo. Sergeant
I will
Leo.
always speak highly of
fucking
him.
love Sergeant Leo.
I always speak
I
highly
really
of him.
do. Like some people don't care for him, whatever.
He's
but
indoctrinated.
He's the
but-
same. He's the same fucking guy, no matter where you
Fact.
go. He's Army, and I can love him just for that aspect. I know what the fuck he's about.
Yeah, he wasn't fake. He
He's
was
not-
about
he-
what he was
he-
about,
if he
and he
doesn't like you,
actually
he's gonna
cared
fucking
about the
tell
people
you.
underneath him.
Yeah.
And he loves
religiously.
to train people.
Yes.
I fucking.
Yes.
He could call me right now. I'm gonna come fucking run him if he needs help.
Yeah,
Like,
oh,
I love that
I will
guy.
forever talk
to
highly of
fucking.
him.
I will kill a motherfucker over.
Yeah, he was my team leader for a little bit, and it was
Right.
nice.
He was mine too
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
bit.
So I mean, if you came to him like, "Hey, I just don't understand this," that motherfucker will
That'd
come to
that'd
your
be-
He's
house.
like, bet. Now you just started your subscription to 6 hours a day, 16 days a week.
Yes,
Like,
100%.
He's
You're
like, you
about to
better
be
bring
better
a
than
fucking bottle
everyone
of
else at
whiskey
this.
too, because we finna learn.
He,
like
like-
talk about a dude that watches World War II videos, fucking cleans gun and drinks for fun on his spare time.
Yes.
like
and that's
I love that motherfucker.
those are the kind of leaders we need. People who
Right.
teach and want to
You-
grow their soldiers. Because something I see too much, and like one of my good friends
teach
put
the
it the
right
best.
stuff as well.
The way-
not recycled
Right.
Vietnam training because
Yeah.
they don't know anything.
God.
So-
That's another thing too. He's constantly researching everything. If he doesn't fucking know it, he'll be an expert on it, just like you, Carden. Like if you don't know
I
something, you're
love
gonna look
him.
something up and learn as much as you can.
Amen.
Before the next fucking subject comes up.
Facts. I'm the same way. Like, because whenever they would come up to me, like, so even when I got moved out of second platoon into third platoon into second platoon,
Yeah, that was a dark day.
I had to get my first class over there. I had to get my first class.
that-
I gave
I
my
was so
second
angry.
class.
Was that the day of the incident?
No,
No.
this is during deployment.
Yeah.
No, that was a light day. Everyone loved that day.
I was at dental. I was like, fuck, I missed it.
Everybody except for the victim.
Look, he fucking. I came back from getting my teeth worked on. He's like, Flood, or no, you texted me or something like that. Or, no, you called me. And you're like, man,
I think you
should've-
called me
I-
because they told you because I was
Yeah.
already home.
I don't know. Somewhere on the fucking phone there was a
bet you did go
conversation,
home.
and he's like, he's like, if you were there, it probably wouldn't have gotten that far.
It probably wouldn't
I
have.
probably would have snatched your ass before.
Have we discussed the incident before?
Yeah, I think we did in like the first episode or something.
I haven't really gone in detail,
Yeah.
but
Isn't like some
I think-
paperwork where you can't discuss it or some shit? I
No,
don't know.
fuck no.
Okay,
I'm
well,
not the army too.
Yeah,
So it doesn't
Army
fucking
anyway.
matter.
Yeah, well,
he said
you
he's a
choked out an
free
NCO, whatever.
motherfucking man.
Um,
Can't
shit.
touch me. He's like, my name's
And-
Freeman.
To the person who the incident happened to, I say again, he is a free man. That's what he didn't get the first time. I don't know what year he thought it was, but I think he sort of got
No,
traveled back
so I'll even say this:
mid 1800s.
me and the individual, like we
That
are
man
probably
said Jim Crow was my
me and
idol.
him are bro-
Got it
me and
choked
him
out
are-
of him.
very. So like even after I got like booted out of the platoon and ended up in
He
second
became
platoon,
really humble after that.
he did, which was great.
That motherfucker didn't even look at me wrong ever again.
It was crazy
Knocked
because
him
like
into a new
after,
personality.
Whenever you did that, the rest of the company realized, like, not even just him, like, the rest of the company realized, like, wait, there are weight classes for a reason. Maybe I should stop fucking with all these bigger dudes and just leave them alone.
Hiding behind rank.
And that I think that was
People
one
didn't
incident.
really fuck with me anyways, but
They learned real quick because that was the
Yeah.
incident because even Leo was just like, because when I first came, he's like, yeah, I know you want to be nice to the Joes, blah blah blah. He never like he was like, hey, you're kind of being a little too nice to him. He would
Yeah.
always kind of like say it without saying it. But that was the moment when he was like, oh, Greg's really not like a really nice person. Like
Yeah.
he's very tolerable.
Yeah.
He was like, but now I see the other side of him.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people realize that, like, okay, he's not a gentle giant that we've
Instead
been
of
thinking with.
pushing your
One-
kill in the right direction, he asked for your kill.
But yeah, so like going back to
It's like, hey, these big guys are teddy bears, but oh wait, fuck, they're
a bear's still a bear.
Still
Yeah.
bear.
Bears are still fucking bears.
Even a panda bear probably gonna kick your ass.
People
Oh,
forget
yeah.
panda bears are bears.
Yeah,
They really
that's
do.
A real thing, yeah.
Yeah,
So so going back to when I got moved to second platoon,
that's what you need in your backyard.
I was giving classes there because I'm very adamant on not doing redundant classes, not trying to give the same shit we've been doing.
God, I
I
hate
fucking
that.
hate react to contact.
So really
I hate
fast.
sitting in your
can
radio
I say
classes.
something? Because I have something.
They're so extensive.
I hate react to contact.
We have so right now we're doing like work over like video call.
Zoom type stuff.
Oh,
Ooh, because
essentially,
I'm
yeah.
in the same company as you, and I ain't doing any of that shit.
Well, because
It's so dependent on your direct leadership.
I guess.
Everyone's getting quarantined. We're on minimal
Yeah.
manning. We have a brand new lieutenant who wants to make sure we're really driving things home. I
Wait,
guess.
y'all got a
Of
new
course.
lieutenant? I love my lieutenant, the
Yeah.
little short Mexican dude.
Oh, yeah.
That dude's-
Yeah.
he's the tits. He's
so,
fucking awesome.
so what we're doing is we're doing like 4 or 5 hours a day of like video talking and getting classes and shit.
Yeah.
Right, kids, grab
What?
your notebooks.
And yesterday was it's frustrating because it's always classes for new guys.
Yeah.
It's always react to contact. You know,
I hate it.
The one thing I hate about the
How do
fucking
you do
army
it?
is
How do you do the squad attack? And it's like I've gotten that class so many
hate it.
times. Like all of this stuff is for the 2 new guys in a squad where there's only 2 new guys.
His team leader
And I
teaching that
bet
shit.
the fucking class changes every single
So
time.
it's
too.
100%. It's because that everything is based on hip pocket training, right? There's no basically school course program that they teach people to teach.
But there is
They're not really. Not really. Not
only one place.
Not really.
Only one place.
It's not for everyone. That's what I'm
It's-
saying.
yeah, okay,
and
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's that's the problem is it's not for everyone. It should be for everyone. The ability to teach is not something people are just born with. Even if you're like, hey, here's some guys, you're a good leader. Teaching is still a difficult thing.
And it's not that they're bad instructors. It's just,
You also need the
it's that they
ability to
teach-
read people.
We
They
talked
teach-
about this a while ago.
They teach
but-
the same content over and over.
the curriculum, if you will, of the army is
I wouldn't even say the army. I would say
The infantry.
yeah, okay.
'Cause
It's
the
so
army-
dependent on
Because
unit,
it's
MOS.
even- it's even
we
a
know
meme.
what we know.
You know, it's even a meme like, oh, another Battle Drill 1 Alpha class.
Yeah, and so this is my big thing. So I got basically the best training I possibly ever got during the Q course. So coming out of
Oh,
there,
I know. I hope you got the best fucking.
Oh, yeah.
You
So- so
if you didn't get it there, I don't know what the fuck to tell anybody. else.
coming
It's all a
out
lie.
and going back to conventional army after washing out at the very end, I realized
That was
like
rough. Don't be that rough on yourself.
I
You
realized
fucked up back, dog.
Nah,
I mean,
so I
you fucking
realized
you up.
how like unstructured, unorganized, and
Oh, it's a joke.
how
It's a fucking
how much
joke.
like a numbers game training events are. Because I'm used to being in a training event like training, like being evaluated, moving through the woods,
Oh, you're not
determining.
used to just sitting out there surviving
Yeah.
for a week.
So,
getting
like,
pissed on in
building-
the rain and
Get
fucking-
yelled
no,
at for
no.
building a small fire.
we still got all that, but it was still like, hey, you need to move X amount, carry all this weight with all your equipment, be
Explain the
manning.
reason. Put it in a reasonable perspective, so that when you did that thing, you
Yes.
understood what you're getting out of
You actually
it.
had
Yes.
you actually
There
had
was
a goal to perform.
there was a
Yes.
purpose. It was
Yeah.
purposeful.
And that's all at the same time because like in that situation, everyone's being evaluated, so everyone's mindset's like, hey, I'm trying to become a Green Beret.
Well,
So there was a single focused task at the end of the day. Everyone's like leaning on each other, like, oh fuck, like even though I'm not being graded right now, if I fuck up, I fuck him over.
So meanwhile, how we're training, and I know you weren't a part of our most recent gunnery.
No, I ain't done shit in Deco. I'm still a line baby. I ain't
So-
done nothing with the fucking trucks.
So the way our last
Good.
gunnery
Yeah.
was like it was platoon gunnery. So a platoon of trucks would go out and do the little
Yeah.
range. But then every platoon was like,
truck life is the easy life.
and I'm gonna talk about that in a second too. Every platoon like had their day to do stuff, and like we weren't gonna do any shooting until Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
But we went out on Monday just to be there. So we literally spent 3 days not doing anything.
That's what I was about
So-
to bring
so
up with
it's-
Greg. Remember when I dislocated my fucking knee? We literally Calfix. Y'all
Yeah.
know
Yes.
Calfix,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, we sat out there for a fucking a week, 2
So
weeks.
so
2
at,
weeks.
at
2
the
weeks.
bottom
Getting rained
levels,
on for
junior
3 days of
enlisted,
fucking
even
training.
senior enlisted, It's you don't understand why anything's happening because there is no reason on your level to do it. But it's
yeah,
actually
like-
one of the most effective methods for building a military there is. There's a reason why all these other foreign countries are like, we want to get your non-commissioned officer program. We want to understand how you build NCOs so well. And it's because it is so stupid. They design mindless dogs to pass down orders from every single level so that way there's always something to work up to and everything to go down so that they've got like complete control from top down.
It's
So
literally
I do-
a slinky effect.
I do understand. So like, hindsight's 2020. Being on other sides and understanding how moving parts go, I do understand why they push us out to the field so early. Because in that
It's
scenario,
a lot of moving parts.
yeah. So in that scenario, we're only looking at it as, hey, I need to go do this. I need to do my range or do squad attack and be great and be done. But from the commanding standpoint, it's like, hey, we need command and control for you to jump out the planes. We need to figure out logistics, need to learn how to do their part, bringing out supplies, so on and so forth. So, like, I understand the big pieces, and you're like, well, I only have to do this. Why is this? Why is all
It's
this other
literally
stuff
not
is
even
concerned?
effective for you.
Yes.
But you need to be there so everyone else can get
Yes.
their training.
Right.
So it's almost like you're a piece of training material with
Every-
no say in it.
Yeah.
Everybody has their piece of the pie.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. Like,
Annoyingly.
I understand.
Yeah. So, it's like,
I understand the retardation of it.
and that's
But
crazy.
don't be fucking upset with me when I tell you why I don't like it.
So
Facts.
and the thing is,
Facts.
You understand it's fucking stupid. You just told me it's fucking stupid. Why are you upset with me when I'm like, sorry, this is fucking stupid?
I understand. I understand like how it can be clunky in certain areas, but a lot of stuff like us going out 3 days early for
Yeah.
no purpose, like there are ways to cut down on
It's
it.
literally
Yeah.
just, well, I mean,
but
that's,
they get paid for time with being in the field.
There's
Yeah.
ways to
That's how they
improve
budget
it
it.
all.
Yeah.
The thing is we work so good in the big picture
So
that they
well.
don't care. They're like,
They
there's
don't.
no reason to change it because y'all can take a lot of shit. So there's like no fucking point for us to have extra money and time put into helping you when we don't
you're
have
so
to.
good at
Because they're
being
like,
shit on.
basically, we've got these killers. We can do anything
nice-
to them. Fuck it.
You know what I
We
always
do- we
hate?
You know what kills me too is why infantry, technically we have the hardest physical job in the army. If you would ask me, you know what I'm saying? Like
Fucking
physically, we have the hardest
Even
job.
based on like
It's rated.
PT tests.
Yeah.
On the new ACFT, it's like the black level, which you
Yeah.
have to. It has
Also
the highest
rated highest
minimums.
stress level is
Exactly.
regular Army infantry and airborne infantry is like #1 most stressful job in
I
America.
So
don't know
why-
if it's number one, but it's up there.
It's rated like
So
#1.
taking all that into
right after,
account-
or #2 is aircraft controller.
I think aircraft controller's number one because I know I'm pretty sure they have the highest suicide rates. Infantry's top 10.
Yeah.
Just because they have the highest suicide rates doesn't mean. I mean, okay.
So
most
it's
of them are
so
bitches.
it's
All right.
it's
Physically
number
stressful?
3
yeah.
Top five
combat
dead or alive.
soldier.
There we
Number
go.
2
When those motherfuckers
aircraft
put 100
controller. #1 1508.
When the fucking
can we-
aircraft
can we
controller
bleep
puts a
that out,
110
please?
pound ruck on their back when it's only supposed to be like 80 pounds and they fucking ruck 10
Nobody's
miles
listening
to
to
be
this.
shit on in the woods for fucking a month and a half, only
Ooh, they're
to
gonna
come
hear my
back.
podcast.
Then they can bitch to me. I don't care. And when they do that for years, then they can bitch to me. Other than that, fuck them. I don't care. What I don't understand is why they put us through all this shit. They verbalize it. They acknowledge it that they do it, right? And then we get treated like shit in garrison. Like our
Well-
job is to get shit on. All right, so we're really fucking good at this. But then
So-
you give us the shit barracks.
They said,
literally
well,
black
at
mold
least I
everywhere.
acknowledged it. Aren't you happy?
So are you just constantly fucking training us? Are you constantly training us to deal with the shit end of life for
So
everything?
I
don't
had
fucking
a
understand it.
I had an old roommate. He said, he was like, he's like, you're only allotted one thing as infantry, and this is older cat.
the right to bitch.
He was like, yes, the right to bitch, and that rubbed me so wrong when they come to you like, hey,
Why are you
you
complaining?
guys
so
need to
much?
stop bitching. Like, it's bringing morale down.
We
Like,
were-
yo, that's the only thing I
Y'all ever
have.
seen the
It's the
series
bitch.
I'm literally
Generation
saying
Kill?
the same fucking thing you said 10 minutes ago. Shut the fuck up. Like,
Have y'all
that's-
seen Generation Kill?
I have not.
So
No.
it's basically like a little movie based off of the invasion of Iraq, following a Marine recon team,
Right.
and the sergeant major of the group is
Oh,
basically
shave that mustache. Yeah.
shave that mustache
Sergeant
to give
major,
them
it's
something to
fucking-
complain about, so
it's
that they don't
120
think about
degrees out
like
here.
missing family back home. And it's
Yeah.
probably not that complex, but I like the idea of like, hey, there's a reason behind this dumb shit. It's to get your minds off of the things that are going
And
to
I can
create
agree
the
with that. There is
suicide
a
and this
method
and
to the
that.
madness. There is. Like,
Sometimes.
Give-
I
you
like
give-
to
you
think
give them
there is.
something joint, like you give them something all to hate.
Yeah.
Instead
yeah.
of being like,
Some-
I
But that's
wonder,
the
my
fuck-
old, I wonder if Jody's back home
and
just
it's
plowing
even
my
a-
old lady right
but
now.
He is.
But you have to remember this too. Like they give infantry, they do that. I know they do that for a reason. They give us so much pent up, bottled aggression.
Oh yeah.
That say during Insurgent, that once you like let the beast loose, you're like, you know where it's going to be directed.
I don't
It's going
know.
that way.
Some people, I'm a little fucking sketchy. I'm like, yo, let me know when not to come to work, dog. Especially some of these newer fucking kids. Like, come on, man.
It's getting scary out there.
Like, I am.
So
Fuck.
here's something I want to talk about is deco, like the heavy weapons mounted guys versus the line unit, and why.
Oh, there's a shit ton of difference.
I know. No. So that's not what I know. There's a lot of difference.
Physically, discipline, everything.
What I want to say is why do
Jesus.
people think that the line units are so much better and more revered than the heavy weapons.
People who have to do more work physically are always going to say that people who don't are worse.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
their only way they can justify that they have to go through so much more shit.
Yeah.
And
Well-
sometimes it's actually proven when you do have to deal with so much more shit, when it comes down to dealing with shit, you're pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Because
So
that's
I'm gonna
like
tell you right
Airborne's
now.
always gonna be like, oh, because whenever I used to be in there, be like, mechanized is better than airborne. Oh,
Like,
they didn't like that at all.
So mechanized technically is going to be more lethal. They've got bigger
Yeah.
guns that are
Right.
mobile, but the airborne people deal with more shit. So when it comes to like just a person-to-person thing, it's like I have to go through harder times. Only way I can get through that is to tell it I'm better than you.
Hey, you know why I say I love mechanized? Because I'm like, I could sleep in the back of the Bradley.
But-
in
right.
between
No, I'm
movements.
not hating on Deco whatsoever.
Yeah.
But coming from ACO for like 3 years, and you fucking did it
It's
too.
a different place. Yeah.
So Deco's so much more laid back. So much more laid back, easygoing.
So, and there's a reason
fucking
for that.
Yeah, I mean it's not.
Well,
I'm not
there's a reason.
shitting on it.
there's a
I love it.
reason-
It's-
no, there's a reason for that specific company.
Yeah.
For our specific company, it's because about 3 years ago,
Oh yeah, because there was all the suicides.
there were suicides.
But you know what happens in the line companies whenever there's suicides? All right, boys, it's going a 10-mile run.
Yeah, we need to run that
fucking
off.
Well, that-
Mandatory
no, no, no.
six-hour classes.
So that's what happened. Is it was like, hey, there was a suicide,
Yeah.
0630 PT tomorrow, and that like caused a lot of ruckus, and that's why our company has been as chill as it has. For the
Okay,
last
then you
several
just
years.
had a commander that actually gave a fuck. That's all.
Well,
that's
it
all
all
that
got
was.
it all got changed up, and like I don't know. So my boss now, and I do like him. He does a good job.
Yeah.
But he has a thing where he like almost doesn't consider people real infantrymen if they've never been on a line unit. But I feel like it's all different parts of a puzzle.
It doesn't matter if you're 11 Bravo or you're 11 Charlie. You're fucking infantry. I don't care.
Right.
I mean, you
Yeah.
did it.
And like you
So
were saying,
that's you do have things that you have to earn. Period.
Because even when
But
I
if
was
you
mechanized,
did the basic and you're in a unit, you're in an actual unit, you're a productive soldier, you're valuable to a team, then you are infantry.
Yeah.
But if you come in and you're just a shitbag,
Every Marine
yeah,
a
fuck
rifleman.
and kind of
Yeah,
what,
that's a joke.
and kind of what Jarvis was saying about how like mechanized are going to be more lethal. It's the same way with the heavy weapons company. Is like
Mm-hmm.
we are 1,000 times more lethal than the line units because we don't even carry a
Yep.
249. Our smallest weapon that we use is a 7.62.
I used to look at it this way. I was
But
like, why
it's
wouldn't
just like
I think it's heavily underused.
Yeah.
so like in a
Deco's
peer-to-peer
heavily
fight,
underused.
right? Line infantry is going to be one of the least useful pieces on the battlefield. It's all going to be your navy, your aircraft, and your tanks and things of that nature. We've seen that before in World Wars.
The most effective individuals in infantry period are going to be the Charlies.
Yes, 100%. Yes, effective
is mortar
fire is it changes the play of the battlefield so well.
Fuck blah, blah, blah. Fuck the trucks. Fuck it. Fuck
One-
line unit.
one-
No, so you can't
Charlies.
say that. So being in mechanized, I was dismounting when I first got there before I got into Bradley's. But you have to think of it
I'm
this
saying
way.
we have just
Just
fucking
mortars.
Humvees. We don't have Bradleys.
Yeah,
You know
but
what I'm saying?
but it also comes down to like you have FOs who can call for fire and
Yeah.
like send mortar. Well, our FOs had their own Bradleys that
Oh, shit.
were set up a little bit different to do those exact same
Oh yeah, so
things.
they're just lobbing rounds out of the back of the fucking
Yes.
truck. Yeah.
So you
I'm talking
have
about, like,
so when I look
our
at that.
airborne
So when I
unit.
look at that, I was like, well, as an infantry unit, at the size of like a squad moving on the ground in airborne, you have that in back of Bradley. So a lot of stuff was still, hey, we're pushing as close as we can, blah blah blah, dismount, still do your thing. Now I look at it as like I don't have a 240 as my suppression fire. I have a Bradley and that fucking 120 fucking right behind me as my suppressive fire. I can move in. They're going to be more worried about those dropping rounds on them than worry about my, hey, here's my little squad
Oh yeah,
over here.
like
moving
whenever
around.
we're with like Charlie's, I'm like, yo, dog, we're finna send a few thousand rounds this way to give you time to get that fucking boom tube set up. Go on.
yeah.
Like,
There
that's
is
all that
just something though about because everybody talks about how ineffective or like how it's pointless now having an airborne fighting force. I don't think so.
Hashtag
I don't think
airborne
so.
is irrelevant.
I don't.
It's 100% not. For now, it is right, but in the event that it needs to be utilized,
Well, I mean,
having it is very important
It's
because
a
of
lot
the things that it
faster to
can
get
do.
Yeah, it's a lot faster
Right.
to get soldiers. Say,
I think-
what was it, Panama? Was that
Yeah.
the last? Yeah. So what was it, the 80s? The 80s
I think
or the
so.
early 90s?
80s.
80s. So
It was late. It was
they
late
could-
80s.
They were doing air assaults then, but whenever you need to cover a massive amount of fucking area, and you get numbers on the fucking ground, that's when
I
airborne
think,
comes
as
into
a
effect.
strategic standpoint, as a show of force, airborne is a very huge deterrent because it lets
Oh yeah.
other people know, like,
man.
okay, we know they can drop this many
In the
people
event there's a
behind
huge
our
world
line.
war, the amount of aircraft going to be coming in with troops dropping in,
That-
like just
that's a
psychologically,
deterrent.
the whenever we were sort of tensions were with North Korea and we were on the global response force, like there was huge talk that we were going to, in the event something happened, the plan was that we were going to jump into Pyongyang and like literally just because they needed us to go secure a piece of land so that we could start bringing in other assets. So like just the initial phase of being able to jump in,
And
clear an aircraft,
And that's,
like
that's the purpose of airborne too.
Right.
To clear airstrips.
Yeah.
And like in what you're saying about like spooking people because people are falling from the sky. Like there's a story. So one of my friends is like super into history, and he was telling this story, and I don't remember which war it was or what, but the like psyops or whoever did this dropped blocks of ice, like on parachutes to make it look like there were paratroopers falling in,
Mhm.
and like no soldiers, but they later found like the journals and shit of like the enemy forces saying like I can hear them in the woods around, and the soldiers are everywhere.
so you should
we're
have
surrounded.
seen
and
the
shit like that.
psychological warfare type stuff they did in Vietnam and stuff.
You talking
They-
about the fake army?
All kinds of stuff. They like story after story of psychological stuff. There was one thing they did where they got Vietnamese speakers to actually like act as if they're ghosts of the soldiers that had been killed, like talking about the horror stories,
I've
and they
read
would
about
they
that.
would blast it on Vietnamese radio. They would hack their radios and then play what would appear to be the ghosts of dead Vietnamese soldiers,
Yep.
and like that would get a lot of surrenders. Like it would just freak them out.
Yeah, I've read
Psychological
about
warfare is pretty powerful. It's why media is so powerful. Information warfare is so powerful. You can really change the mindset of such a large group of people, and at the end of the day, like that's what people are trying to do when it comes to winning anything, is change the mindset of a large group of people to believe what they want to believe or do what they want them to do. And so just getting into those noggins is what's really going to be effective. And it's why everything is changing now that like media takes so much
Oh yeah. By the way, I'm using DuckDuckGo. That's all I use.
amen. But yeah, media is such a big factor in everyone's lives now. Everyone's on there. Everyone's always consuming information, and so that's beautiful. I like to see it. But yeah, so in terms of just warfare in general, the amount of like you've seen it recently. Just like anytime anything happens, everyone knows about it, and it
Yeah.
sort of changes how things are, especially when it comes to like espionage type stuff, things like that. I don't know, just real curious to see what would lead to something bad happening now on a world scale. Like there's so many events that could, but I feel like
You
also
would literally have to take like a company, like a country, like literally being wiped off a map. Almost.
there's a reason why if you look at like the amount of deaths caused by like war type stuff on a scale through history of the world, like it looks like we're at world peace right now because there's so little death happening, and part of that has to do, it is good, part of that has to do with how much global coverage there is. and people think that the world's such a bad place. It's just because we see everything now, so we are
Yeah,
aware of
yeah.
all of the bad things that are happening.
Statistically, it's a safer time to live in.
Way safer. The
Like-
amount of people dying is minuscule compared to it's ever been.
It's like your parents saying like, oh, back when I was a kid, it was safe to run out in the street and stay out till dark and this and that. Like,
Yeah, on your neighborhood,
Like,
you just didn't know that the next neighborhood over had like 16 murders.
yeah, actually not. It's
Your news station didn't cover that
it's
area.
safer now than it was back when all these people are sharing their Facebook posts about.
Yep, but it is interesting.
I can share if you know what a flour sifter is.
Because everybody thinks it is such a horrible place, there are a decent amount of people making efforts to try and improve everything, which actually is working on a global scale.
Yeah.
It's why I hate to see when like little bad things happen and they spark a global outrage. It's like, yes, that was bad, but that doesn't mean bad things are happening everywhere.
It's like you literally just took this one bad incident and created hundreds of thousands of
But
fucking terrible
it's why
incidences.
media is
Yeah.
dangerous. It's because they control the narrative. They tell you this is
They
a
have an
big deal,
agenda, yeah.
and then it is a big deal.
Yeah.
If they don't tell you something, you don't know about it. For the
Yep.
majority of people,
They have a very good way of like blowing shit out of proportion.
Yeah,
like,
it's the way it's whichever way they want to fan the fire.
yeah. And
These
you
news
know,
places
what
are,
part of the forest do they want to clear?
You'll
what
see
I'm saying?
you'll see some bullshit article that's like Twitter users everywhere are saying this and that. It's like 3 Twitter screenshots.
It's like 9 out of 10 doctors. You know what I'm saying?
Why does that one
Yeah.
doctor not agree with them?
that 10th dentist be like, fuck Colgate.
the so in terms of what power is, right? It's
fear
typically
over your jokes.
well,
Yeah.
some would think
Power to the absence of
Uh,
force. Okay.
land.
Yeah.
Land. A lot of people say how much land you own. A lot of people say it's the titles that you have, and then also your wealth that you get. But what do you use that wealth for? You want more land, right? Land. How much land you control at the end of the day, in my opinion, is about how much power you have.
Did you? So I learned this like last year. Is you can own airspace too. Like you
Yes.
can't just own. You can like own like there's you can own.
Yeah, if
everything.
you own
The
like
everything's
40,
owned.
50 acres, you can literally
Only your
pay to have it black.
Guess who is the largest individual landowner in the world,
the Virgin Mobile guy.
or at least in the United States?
I think
I'm
you
still
told-
gonna say the Virgin Mobile guy.
I think you told talking
Founder
about
of CNN.
Really?
The guy who's controlling the narrative, or at least was, is also the largest sole landowner in the United States with millions of acres of land. He has one plot of land that's larger than Rhode Island.
Damn, Morpheus, you just gave me the red pill.
The guy that's telling you everything has more land than freaking Bill Gates. The largest landowner, which isn't an individual, it's a group. Guess who that is? Federal
Russia.
Reserve.
Virgin Mobile.
The Federal Reserve.
I'm just saying that Richard Branson really be on some shit.
Because every time, something's foreclosed on, all this
Okay.
land that they get to just acquire, it's interesting because you request a loan, which is not the most real money, and then you pay them in your time because you're working for that money in minuscule amounts, and then the second you can't pay them, they then take that land from you, and now they own that land because
So
they
really
loaned you the money.
That's the thing is they don't own the. So it's like when you
They didn't own the land before,
No,
right?
they do. Is the thing. So say when you buy a car and you get a loan from your bank, you have to give the title to your bank.
Right, I'm
They
saying
own the car. You're
before
basically
you
renting
did
it.
that, though, they didn't own the car. And then when you borrowed the money to get it, they
You
then
basically
own that
paid
car.
them
And if you
a
don't
few
pay them, they're
$1,000 to
literally
take the
going
money.
to just
and that's
physically own it.
That's collateral. So like right now, I got a personal loan for my car, so I got the title, not the bank. But that car is collateral for that personal loan. So like you're saying, if I fail that loan, then they take my car.
It's like right before we invaded Iraq and Afghanistan, there were some global bankers that did not have banks in those areas until 2001, and then they did. I believe it's the Rothschilds. They own some of the global banks.
Yeah, go figure.
They had banks in every country except for 8 in 2000. And then after we invaded Iraq and Afghanistan, it was every country except for 6. And now it's like every country except for 3 countries they have banks in. And it's like Ireland, North Korea, and I want to say like Libya or Syria.
mean-
The Irish are like fuck no. we know.
We know what you're doing, fam.
I watched a video earlier today, and it was just Irish people trying American whiskey. God damn, do I love listening to an Irish accent.
I like the Irish people.
Yeah. Just like
I loved going.
whenever we
to
got off the
Ireland.
fucking, whenever we got off the
I need a
plane in
vacation
Ireland, I was
there.
like, this is the cleanest air I've ever breathed in my fucking life.
100%.
It
That
was so
that
pretty.
that
Yeah.
weather ambiance,
It's
like
easy to get like
perfect.
stuck up in your own like culture, and
Yeah.
like, like especially if you don't like know too much or travel too much. It's one of the reasons why I've absolutely loved just even like the deployment going to Afghanistan, just experiencing that culture, seeing what it's actually like rather than what's like fed to you, and why I want to just one of my goals is I want to see as much as I can. I want to travel everywhere.
And like even in your own country.
Yeah.
Like,
Even in
there's-
your
there's
country,
so
yeah.
much of the country that of the United States that I haven't seen. Like
I agree.
for my next leave, I'm probably just gonna go up to like New England because I've never been there, and I want to see like
Why New England though?
I've never been there.
It sounds cool. Don't question
bro. I've never been. I've never been more north than like
Eat some
someplace in
clam-
Indiana.
Eat some clam chowder, you'll be alright.
That's
Same
a-
shit.
I mean, I just want.
I'm gonna go.
I just,
Hey, Samard, tell me what's good over here.
I want to be
Yeah.
able to experience a different area of the place where I live.
Yeah.
Where are you from again?
I'm from fucking Kansas, dude. Middle of not shit.
Oh, so you know a lot about
a whole
corn.
lot to do in Kansas.
We don't have corn,
There's
motherfucker.
Jim's
It's wheat.
farm.
We are wheat.
There's,
We are wheat.
We
that
have
one
wheat
shack?
and sunflowers.
You got Tech
Sunflower
9.
State.
You got Tech 9.
We do have Tech Nine. We got Mac Lethal. We got Danny Carey. Fucking who's the drummer of Tool. We got Paul Rudd. We got some people, motherfucker.
I don't
we
know
have
who any of
Bill.
these
We
people
have
are.
John. They're all great farmers. Okay.
We have Bill, we have Johnny, we have Jose.
We got Mary Sue, Tommy Lynn. Fuck.
It's Momish.
Goddamn.
Okay.
No, I'll just like I love Kansas actually,
Yeah.
and it's a like so when I was in basic, there was a day where we had a bunch of like Pentagon officers come do PT with us.
Oh, that's cool.
And they're all from Kansas.
So that's the thing is a lot of them had actually spent time at Fort Riley, and you know like the general like, oh, so where are you from, Private? I'm like, I'm from Kansas. They're like, God damn, I fucking was at Fort Riley for 10 years. I'd retire there in a heartbeat.
I don't trust generals.
No.
I honestly, I really don't.
Hey,
I don't trust officers.
hey, he was
Generals are at politician level, and
I honestly like
not about
Lieutenant Colonel and Colonel.
it.
They're at politician
Even at
level.
lieutenant.
They're at a dangerous
Often-
place because they're in the hazing phase for politician level. They're like, do you really want global secrets? Do you
like-
want to be part of this one world society?
It's like in fucking.
How far are you willing to go?
It's like in Community where the
Our
dean
BC's
comes out.
listening to this. He's gonna
and
come
he's
skull
like,
fuck
I-
us.
Have you guys ever seen Community?
Yes, I love Community.
The fucking dean, he's like, I have to come out and finally be true with myself. I'm political. Fucking lost my shit.
Their
Okay.
mascot is amazing.
I'll say that I'm gay when really that's only 2/7 of what I am. I hope this doesn't awaken anything in me.
Oh
Have you seen Community, Flood?
no, I have not.
Oh,
Amazing.
It's on Netflix. Gotta watch it.
I think I need to restart it. I haven't
It's
seen it
got-
in a minute.
Chevy Chase, Childish Gambino, the dude from The Soup.
I don't know who any of these people are.
You know
Danny
Chevy,
Glover.
Chevy Chase? You like National Lampoons? Christmas
Yeah.
Vacation?
Yeah.
That guy.
Oh, okay.
He's
These
in it.
none of these people matter enough to me for me to actually know their names.
You know
Danny
who
Glover
Childish
is-
Gambino is?
You probably heard
The
of.
rapper?
You probably heard of stand up, heard some of his music.
I
Watch his
guarantee,
TV shows.
I guarantee you, I know who these people are if you associate them with something. But
It's people.
okay,
They're-
yeah. So I,
All right,
yeah, I
Spider-Man.
know that song.
You remember
yeah.
Spider-Man, the
Yeah.
first one,
Yeah.
and the dude Charles
Yeah,
Charles Gambino
He plays the
was
syrup sandwiches.
the Prowler. He was like he was like, hey,
That's
you gonna leave me here on his car, aren't you?
Kendrick
Yeah.
Lamar.
Yeah, Charles Gambino.
All right, see, all these people don't mean a fucking thing to me. I
Okay,
just like,
hey.
you know what I'm saying?
So
like,
that show came out in 2009.
I pay for them to
Do you like-
entertain me.
do you
I
like
don't-
Rick and Morty?
I don't
Do you
care
like
enough for them to-
2009?
Hold on. Do you like Rick and Morty?
Yeah, I like Rick and Morty.
The guy who is in charge of Community is the guy who's in charge of Rick and Morty.
Okay, but it's still not gonna make me care enough to know their fucking names.
I'm
If I
not
get
saying
it.
you gotta know their name. I'm saying you're gonna think it's funny. Fuck! All 7 seasons are on Netflix. The first 4 are gold.
Okay.
Yeah, after that, just
Fair enough.
Season 6, and they get rid of everybody.
Do y'all ever have like
Excuse me.
almost your own like personal fantasies of where you want to live in life and like
Yeah.
you
I
just
think-
sort
I
of just
think
hope
everybody
like
does.
maybe I just I really want to just dream that tonight, so I can sort of just experience.
Hey, so I
the
always think
perfect
about. I
world.
was like,
so I can receive the dopamine.
I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Need dopamine.
I was looking at the think about my
Serotonin,
parallel
please.
timelines where
Episode
I
of
did the
Community
right
about
thing.
that.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
I made it to the key course.
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder how that Greg is doing right
You're over
now.
stacking
My
bodies
thing
right
like that
now.
is when I wake up in the 9th grade and I still know everything I know
Yeah,
now.
I
Like,
think about that a lot.
okay,
Or like,
I've been ready for this for a long time.
if I could go back to that one dance when I was 16, I'd change everything.
Susie Lynn, you will be mine.
Dad, invest in Bitcoin.
You know what?
Bruh.
Here's a thought too. Like, you ever see those fucking ads on, or not the ads, but the posts on like Instagram or Facebook or whatnot? And it's like, so wake up as a child with all your memories, or instantly receive $50 million. I'm like, $50 million. Fuck that shit. I'm not going through that goddamn struggle again.
Yeah.
But at least I got all the money I have. I got all this money. Like, this is automatically going to fix 99.9% of my problems.
And also,
Like,
I want to say about
like,
that
I don't
too,
give a
it's
fuck.
like
You can simple the question down and just ask me if I want the money.
Yes.
Yes.
And here's the thing too: is like if you go back in time to when you're 16, like the butterfly effect, you're not going to meet the same people that you met, and
Good.
that's something I've thought about. It's
Good.
Like, no,
If you're not going to play at the same timeline.
no,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's something I think about a lot because I fucking daydream all day. Like I'd be getting classes, and I'm just like thinking
daydream
about
all
if
the
I
time.
had superpowers.
Oh, if I had the butterfly effect, I'd probably do exactly what what's his name?
Small
Fucking-
changes, but try to keep
No,
everything.
no. At the end, whenever he
Huge
goes back all the
changes.
way as a fetus and chokes himself to death.
Oh, the
by
Ashton
shooter.
Kutcher movie, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
according to time travel theory, you'll actually be choking out another version of yourself,
Yeah.
and then you'll just have killed a baby. You'll still exist, and
But
now
that
you're just a
baby-
murderer.
Oh, good.
So
Fuck
here's
that.
I have a pretty interesting
He probably
question.
deserved it. I know what he's gonna do.
I have an interesting question. And like
I've been in his head.
So let's say like, some of the best friends that you've made in your life are like some of the your wife or something. If you go back in time to when you're 16, do you think you'd go out of your way to like seek those people out sooner, or like go a different path but still seek those people out just because you want to recreate that relationship?
That's a really good question. Yeah.
That's something I've thought about. Like I've made
There's a few people I'm gonna completely avoid, and a few people I'm probably gonna
some of my
you
best
know,
friends I made
maybe
because-
not just ghost them motherfuckers.
Some of my best friends I made because of the army, and it's like if I went back to when I was like a teenager and could redo my life, I wouldn't join the fucking
Oh
army.
God, no! I wouldn't join, but
I
I'll
wouldn't join the
donate to the
army.
Wounded Warrior program for
Yeah,
you.
but which I guess isn't a good place to donate to. But like, so say you do that, you
Wait,
don't
what'd
do
you
this
just say?
shit. Would you try to find those people that you met to still be their friend in that different timeline?
So that
or like
brings-
if it's your wife, would you
That brings
seek
up
your
a
wife
good
out?
question.
Oh no, I
because-
wouldn't. If I could go back 3 years, I wouldn't even go to my own fucking wedding. So, I mean,
So that brings up a- that
without
brings up a
force
So let's say you have a
question,
successful marriage. Are you going to try and find your wife? You know,
Which how do you
Taking a
know
hot
you?
tub
So
time
you
machine.
know that you know their past personality. I would go try to look for my wife, but
So-
at the same time, like, how do you know their personality wouldn't be something you along the
There's
same
a couple
line?
questions I have in this
Are
scenario.
they
It's like
gonna be ready
BD6.
for
This
you.
shit can
Well-
constantly change. Like,
Did I
1,000 ways to skin this cat.
yeah.
purposefully time travel, or did a supreme being reset me for a reason? And if that's the case, I'm like, all right, obviously
Something
I did
fucking went wrong.
something wrong,
I
or
pissed
there's a
somebody
new
off.
decision I need to make.
like the
So
fucking,
you're going to change everything.
Everything.
that's my favorite fucking manga category.
Mantra or manga?
Manga,
Okay.
motherfucker.
Well, you-
Uncultured
I thought you were about to
swine?
go into mantras, and I was like,
He's like,
hold on.
go
I
find
always,
you,
I
Sal.
always pronounce it wrong. I say Iseki, but it's what?
Isekai.
Isekai? Yeah, it's literally just like waking up in a different world and shit like that.
That's
It's
a
dope,
new
yeah.
trope.
See, as a white person, we call that quantum leap.
Kill him. Kill him. Here's the. Yeah. No. Here you go.
Oh shit! He actually pulled out the gun.
So, are there other parallel universes, infinite, or at least some other universes that are somewhat similar to ours,
Yes.
It just depends on the theory you subscribe to.
I mean,
according to your
wouldn't
subscription?
it be like some type
is
of deja
there.
vu? Isn't that the theory? Like,
So-
if you experience deja
So-
vu,
Theories
so-
with
so-
deja vu,
So
theories
that's
with
a
dreams.
theory. That's
Yeah.
a theory about deja vu.
yeah.
I heard a theory about deja vu of. I've heard a couple of them. This one's the most intriguing one that I've heard. Is deja vu is so they like to say time is fluid. past, present, future are occurring at their own time and space. So my future myself could be reminiscing on a moment in his life, and that reminiscence of like an incident that happened simultaneously at that time is your brain being like, oh shit. Jesus Christ. Is your brain being like, oh shit, there's something in this perfect scenario like that you need to be aware about because so X, Y, and Z. I'm not explaining it very well, but when I heard it, I was like, okay, I can kind of get behind that, but there's just so many theories.
I don't like
As,
that.
growing up as a kid, like, I was thinking way too
grew up
deep.
as a kid?
And crazy enough, I did.
I came out of the womb full grown.
Well,
poor mother.
some of you were recently implemented into the simulation and given your memories as a kid. I actually I'm a player. I'm not an NPC. I grew up as a kid. Some of you didn't.
Hey, so on this.
Tell them motherfuckers to hit fucking control delete on
Hey,
my
so have you guys
I'm tired
ever?
of this shit. I
have
didn't
you-
ask for this.
Have you guys ever seen the movie Dark City?
Nah.
Maybe.
All right, so it's a movie.
Yeah.
It's a movie about an experiment, and these aliens like abduct.
Wait. Is it the one where the
So
aliens
with the guy
in
and
the
he does
city?
the thing. Yeah.
Yes.
The
That was one of the craziest movies I've ever seen.
Yeah. So it's from the guy.
Forgot the name though.
It's-
That was a crazy movie.
I have
really
I
don't
have the
even know what the
director's
fuck
cut
you're
on
talking
DVD.
about.
Let's have a movie night. All I'm saying is,
It's good.
And it's like interesting to talk about Deja Vu because so the idea of the movie is all these aliens. Spoiler alert. These
Yeah.
aliens abduct X amount of people and they build this city in this fucking spaceship. And it's always nighttime. And at midnight every night, which I guess is every 12 hours, what they do is they go and they like rearrange the city and they go and they inject new lives and personalities and memories into people to just see how they act in different spots.
Honestly,
as a new
the
person.
movie's done so well. It's really creepy, and it's like, wait a minute. It makes you look around like.
How old is this movie?
90s. It's
Okay,
90s,
no,
early
I've seen
but
a
it's
new
fucking-
movie. I
it's
think
a-
it's a recreation of that movie.
It's framed as like a noir kind of a detective type thing, but maybe we're all an experiment of people of like alien because the idea is that aliens are trying to figure out what the human soul is. So they have like this one human doctor who's like a psychiatrist, and what he does is he builds the personalities and memories to put into people, so they can see how these people will do in different spots.
So the movie I saw, I think it's gotta be a remake of this one, like a newer version, right? Because it's these kids and they like basically go to this location that's supposedly like spooky or whatever. It's a lot more deep than that, but they end up running into an alien that sort of lured them there. And that alien ends up abducting these people, but they don't even remember it because when they wake up, they're then in the simulation on the ship. Like they take them off of Earth, and then they spend like weeks in the simulation because there's like stuff that's off. They're getting chased by the law and stuff. But the whole time, the aliens, they actually got these like young adults, they're like 20s and stuff, and they're just like basically running experiments on like what the humans are doing, why they make these decisions and stuff. And it's freaky because once they finally figure out they're in the simulation, they like escape the town. Like they're fucking
You
gone.
were in
They're
a
in
simulation inside the simulation.
space. But no, yeah. As I was saying,
all
as
the
a
houses
child,
cookie cutter.
it was like
Was it
one of
made in-
those like real Midwest in the middle of nowhere towns.
Oh, okay, so
but
it's a different movie
some
I'm thinking
they
of.
realized because I guess the aliens were sloppy. Some of the people, it was like the worker for some of the shops was also the worker for another shop. It's like, oh, you work here too? You're also you worked at the gas station and you're the librarian,
Yeah.
and they're giving off
All
like
these aliens
weird
are
vibes and
all these
stuff.
aliens are like, fuck, all these humans look the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, what do you mean?
We only have so many models
No,
to
I'm not
work
the
off
same
of.
one. I have a mole here. Not here.
But yeah, so as I was a child, I knew there's a disturbance in the force. like something was off, and I felt as if because like I'd seen some weird shit as a kid that like I tried to justify as an adult. That was like spooky shit, spiritual type shit, alien type shit, not normal shit, and like. So I was like, just growing up, I'm just always thinking like why am I seeing this stuff? No one else is seeing this stuff. At least they're not talking about it. I talk about it. People look at me like I'm crazy, so I just don't even talk about it. I got like a couple friends to talk about it, and they're growing up too, like at a young age. So for all they know, that's at least something reasonable. Like, no way I can talk to my parents or something about this. And I'm like, there's a reason why I'm seeing
Parents
this
are
shit.
like,
No one
"Psych
else
ward."
is like. at first I was like, I've got to be like one of the only real people on Earth, and like I'm the one that like someone's like studying me or something. Like this is my personal simulation.
If Carden would have came out with this, he automatically would have been fucking slapped with schizophrenia.
As a kid, I asked my question.
If
I'm like,
this were 1912, you're getting a lobotomy.
because I'm inside my head, right?
Mhm.
And I see from my perspective. I don't know if everyone else is also like on the same like thought process. Like, do they wake up and just think like I do, or are they just like programmed? Like,
Yeah.
I only know what I'm seeing out of these holes here.
Yeah.
And as a kid, it just boggled me. It's like, why am I seeing out of me?
He
Exit-
knows.
Like, I am inside. I'm the only one that controls me. Just my own consciousness, my own soul. Like, it just boggled me as a kid. I was like, it
yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Existentialism as a child is weird. Like, when I was like, those like very vague memories that you have when you're like 2 or 3 years old,
Yeah.
like the very few ones that you
Yeah.
have. Man, I was 2 or 3 years old and I was talking to fucking somebody. It was like, I remember my mom
You
being
talking
there.
and fucking somebody, or you just?
I was
fucking
fucking when
talking
I
to
was 2,
somebody?
bro. I remember talking. I remember.
Yeah, I touched a pussy. What?
On the way out.
It's
My
a
bad.
boy!
But I remember like
Yeah.
my mom was there, my grandma was there, and some other old lady, and I was like,
Sounds like a party.
I was like 2 years old, and I thought I was a fucking superhero already, because it was my story, my own life, and I remember telling this lady, I was like, I was born different.
I remember the first day I started remembering things, and remembering that was the first day I could consciously remember things. Like my first day of consciousness. Sketchy shit. I remember waking up in the middle of the night when I was like 3 or 4 years. I was like 3, I think. Late 3. Waking up in the middle of the night in my bed, knowing, like almost like I just became conscious.
He was like, damn, bro, I'm really in this shit.
I woke up and I'm like, I knew like who everything was and everything, and I'm just like, I don't really have memories. Like I just woke up in the middle of the night. I'm like, I feel like I just woke up and I'm just like now me, and I knew it's like I feel like I've just like been able. I can remember things now, like knowing that, and I was just like sketched out, knowing all of this as a 3-year-old. Like I just got put into my life.
I do recall that because I remember being in the first grade, and I remember like, how do I know this is the word the? Like, how am I knowing like this combination of words mean this? How do I? And I remember questioning myself like, how do I know these things are these things? I'm like, where did it come from? I'm like, no one taught me this. From what I know, I'm like, no one's taught me any of this.
So I remember I was riding in the car with my mom, right? And I remember looking at the seat. I'm like, how did we make this? And looking at my clothes, like, how did we make this?
Yep.
And I looked at my skin. I was like, why do we call this skin?
Yeah,
Like,
I would question everything.
Like, yeah. Whenever you actually whenever you understand enough of what's around you to start asking questions of why that is the way it is, or
my
why
traumatic,
that is.
my actual, I can say, started memory was a very traumatic memory when I was like 3 or 4, around that age, and because my mom took 2 bullets in her leg, like saving my life when I was 4 years old. So that is a hard stamp, like, on remembering. But I also restarted remembering stuff behind that. He was like, but I can, without a doubt, like, make that as my tent pole. Like, hey, this is where I started remembering from that point forward. He was like, but I do remember so far back, just enough because of that point.
Go ahead.
I remember my first inner monologue.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because I was probably between 1 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
And this was definitely late 90s, so I couldn't have been more than 3. And like, I remember wearing fucking overalls and like my grandma pulling me out of the car seat, and I was like having this whole thought process in my mind, and I don't remember what I was remembering, but I know that I was like thinking about something that happened to me before, and like taking in what was happening and like talking to myself almost as I do now inside my head, like full complete sentences, like actual thought, but I was just a fucking infant.
So at that age, dreaming, obviously I didn't fully understand what dreaming was and how it was, like, if it was real or not. But I remember I had dreamt what seemed like something that happened later, and when it happened, I was like, I feel like I dreamt this, and then like from then on, I was also like I had all these like crazy universal questions revolving in my head as a young kid, which I guess just led me to want to learn as much as I can. But it's just like how did I dream something that didn't happen yet? And I remember asking my parents, like, hey, can people dream the future? And that was just crazy that I was asking questions like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy the types of things kids think of. And even because everyone was a kid, maybe. And
Maybe.
but then as you get older, you forget.
Unless you subscribe to the Last Thursday
Right.
thing.
But like the way you look at kids now, you probably would be ashamed of yourself as a kid, because as a kid you're like, why do they talk to me like this? I know way more than they feel like I'm getting like credit for. It's I don't know, you like once you get to a certain age, you sort of like separate yourself from that mentality of a kid, and you just look at them like they're foreign, like they're dumb.
It's that age-old saying, like when he was like, when you're a child, he's like, when you get older, put away your childish things. And it's kind of like, I hate when people like kind of detach from the child inside of them. I'm like, man, like, hey, you need to, why you still do this? Why you still that? Like, no, you need to hold on to that child youth, that child like mindset of being adventurous and curious and looking for new avenues, because it's like that abstract thinking is what's helping you to stay young, almost in a sense, a little bit. I kind of went off sidetrack.
No, I get what you're saying, 100%.
I just, I don't know. You have like a few memories. It's interesting, your memory bank, and like you've got the memories you can pull from immediately, and then sometimes you'll just like something will trigger a memory that you hadn't even thought of in years, and it's like holy cow, I didn't even remember that.
Like 2 podcasts ago.
It's interesting to think of the things that
It's
you.
always smells.
So that's one of the most effective way to remember things, but it's just interesting to think about the things you've forgotten, things in your life that you'll never remember, that you did, that you interacted with someone, and you won't probably ever remember that. But then also like the things that stick out, like there are some things that you felt or thought a certain way that was just so I like to explain it as like the spiritual things. Like there's things that they're just so inexplainable that there's no other way to describe them other than like spiritual, and you'll always remember like, no, yeah, that was that time that like I was on another plane of existence, and there's no way you can explain that to me other than the fact that there's got to be something out there, at least in personal life.
I feel you.
Well, this has been a wild ass
This
conversation.
We always I will say we need to probably keep up with the set topics, or else our dumb monkey minds will always bring us back to the military.
It's interesting
because it's so traumatic.
It's a big part. It's a big current part of our lives.
Soon will be just a snapshot.
It will
be. Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy.
20 years ago, I was in a fucking infantry. When I get out, all right, Grandpa, shut the fuck up.
When I get out,
charge my laser now.
When I get out, I've been in the Army for 5 years. And then 20 years from now, I'll still probably look back on that 5 years. It's such an impactful moment, even though it was such a blip.
I mean, it's because they literally break down everything about you and they'll rebuild you. And then they stress you the fuck out.
It's a vital part of my personality now. Like,
huge.
It's not
and that's why we
spend
most of the podcast talking about that.
Yeah, so title goes, we accidentally talk about military shit for a long time again. Sorry.
That's how we get the bro vets.
But I promise it gets better.
That's how Black Rifle Company is going to sponsor us.
Then we talk about our consciousness as young children and alien abduction really quickly at the end.
Right.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry.
Hey,
it makes no sense.
Good topic. Dream World Part 2 / philosophy theories.
Yes.
And now I'm going to go probe them all.
Our next topic, if you've stayed this long, you've earned the right to know. We're going to talk about conspiracy theories. We're all going to study some. We're all going to figure out our favorite or most intriguing ones.
We're all going to study our own personal favorite or most interested.
There's one that'll stay this long. Scooter.
Scooter just misses the sound
but
of our
the thing
voice.
is we're not going to tell each other what we're researching. So
yeah. Stay tuned for that.
Well, I'm
This
Blake.
has been The Foxhole. I'm Jarvis.
I'm Greg.
Yeah, I'm the Flood.
Thanks for listening. If you listen to the whole thing, we really appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.